3, 2, 1. Taylor McNallie, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're on the opposite end this time.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I haven't been doing a lot of interviews lately. Obviously, life has gotten really busy. So, yeah, it's nice to still be involved with these types of things too.
Well, I wanted to ask real quick before we start this off is how would you give your elevator pitch? There's just so much, right? So it's like, how do you describe it?
I don't even know because people ask me what I do all of the time. And I sit there for a few seconds like, I don't know where to start because there's so many things. So, I have TaylorMade Radio, but it's since turned into TaylorMade Radio Entertainment Network. So it's a whole collection of different content creators from across Canada. And then I'm an MC and a public speaker. And then I do branding and marketing for musicians and small businesses. And now I have the organization Rural Alberta Against Racism. So it's like, there's a lot going on. Yeah. So I don't know what my elevator pitch is. Just too fucking much. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what's like the best thing about having you on. It's like, I just don't know where to start, what
you need both.
Yeah. So one real quick, I guess, is how about on your speaking, like maybe your literature, because you're very well spoken, and how much is that? Is it like 60 podcasts and interviews in? You're just like, yeah, I guess I am pretty well spoken.
I don't even know if I find myself well spoken yet. I feel like I'm good at writing. But speaking, I think it's just something like I've always talked, like when I was in school, I would always get in trouble for talking too much and trying to entertain people. So that was just kind of there. And I guess it also comes too with the different types, especially for emceeing and hosting and the different types of events. So, I've hosted for metal shows, which is very different. I get to swear and say really crazy things on stage, or I'm doing like corporate events or like doing the wedding awards where it's very conservative and I gotta, be prim and proper. So, I guess balancing between all of those different areas kind of gives you a little bit of experience in that sense, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and there's like you said, there's so many things. You even have that YouTube channel with the bubble bath. You even have
bubble
that,
bath buffet,
right?
Yep.
And also recently, you actually kind of almost started like almost a permanent thing. It feels like with Amanda there, like doing
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what is that? Yeah. So tuned in, and that show I was so excited to do. And then unfortunately, like we did our first episode, which there's going to be a lot of learning with that, especially when we can't be together. So it was kind of like the first project I took on after COVID lockdowns. And it's like, okay, I'm used to doing everything in person. So how am I going to do this separately? How I need to make sure she has all the right equipment. I taught myself oh man, I don't even know what it's called, where you do all the video editing and you stream from.
Oh yes,
I forget what it's called, but that thing, everybody's using it. Taught myself how to use that. I bought myself some new equipment, and there's still so many things that I couldn't figure out. And then of course learning Twitch as well, because it was kind of like I wouldn't say a much music show, but we pick a different genre every week, and then we play music videos on there, all from different Canadian musicians and artists.
Awesome.
And so there's a lot of copyright issues. So that first one, there was like 1 minute of a song at the very end of the show, and the show was like an hour and a half long, and then Facebook took it down. But luckily we still had it over on Twitch, so it was still there. And but yeah, we did that first episode, and then after that, like it was right after the George Floyd's death, and then I started getting really heavily involved with activism. So I mean, everything in my life kind of just went on a halt from that, and then just recently I've started picking up other things to keep everything going, at least while I'm going to be busy doing this for a while, so I need to figure out a way to keep things going.
Well, that was like, a big thing I do want to touch on, right? With everything going on right now.
Yeah.
So like recently with all the guests, I've always had to ask first, I have to ask, it's not like every year we go through a global pandemic, right? It's just a great conversation starter, because it's like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So I want to hear about yours, but yours is going to have such a dramatic turn where it's like you dealt with like your first month of just COVID, and then, like.
Yeah. The whole COVID issue and locking down, it wasn't a huge impact on me, because I've been in self-employed for the last 2 years. I already work from home, so it's not like anything in that sense really changed. And because I'm involved with so many different things,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't lose out on a lot of work, so to speak. I just had to reinvent what I was doing and, make different connections in that sense. But I've been lucky. So work wasn't too crazy. It was crazy having my kid home every day. I have a 9-year-old, so she was home from school.
Mm-hmm.
And then my partner, he's also a business owner, but then he was home. So all three of us home. It was like, I'm going fucking crazy. I love them though. All right. And yeah, I think, of course the situation sucks. There's people losing their lives. There's people losing their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of changes going on, but it also, I think, really brought a lot of people back to basics and getting to know their families and hang out with their families, see if you even like your family,
Yeah.
and find new things that you really enjoy, or explore the things you really enjoy that you didn't necessarily have time for before.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, all of a sudden it was like protests all the time. Suddenly, there was it's crazy because the Black Lives Matter movement itself started in 2015, but as it has happened for over years, one Black person dies at the hands of police, and it's posted, and then people make a ruckus about it, and then next week it's just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And something about this particular instance, and I feel like a lot of people being home and paying more attention, more in their feelings too,
Mm-hmm.
I think really sparked this huge unrest, and it was worldwide, and it's still worldwide. So, which is great because now we're in the largest civil rights movement in history,
Mm-hmm.
and things definitely aren't slowing down, and it's still going out there. So, I guess, for me, it was just shifted from doing all this crazy work over here to doing all this crazy work over here now, and then trying to find balance with that.
Yeah. I just want to say real quick, like, obviously my literature is not going to be like, the greatest of
It's
this.
okay.
This is why I have Taylor on to, ask the questions and get into everything.
Yeah.
Right. So, I 100% agree, like, with everything. Right? It's like the biggest civil. And like you said, with the whole, it was like you said, it was just with one particular, right? Because I hate to say this, but it was so brutal how it was, almost like same video, different week for a while there, right? Like you said, it was just like that one.
And it's the sad thing though, is that even before then, it's always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, it's still like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost like every second or third day I'm having to watch a video like these. It's sad because they're videos you can watch an entire situation of somebody dying right in front of you now, and it's happening all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to know as well that, a lot of people think that the Black Lives Matter movement is all on that because of this one person.
Mm-hmm.
And, explaining how often it happens. It's not just one person.
There's thousands of videos literally before that. Thousands.
Yeah.
Like, it's sad how, like, I'm glad it's finally happened, but it's just crazy to think how it had to come to this at the same sense, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of conversations happening too. I think is great. A lot more conversation than before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting for me. I grew up in a town of 400, and then I moved to a town of 1500.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been around. All my friends are white.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been like the Black person of the group, and I hang out in environments that are predominantly white. My partner is white.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting for me because I'm constantly having these conversations, especially when my partner is white.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice because I get to know what people are thinking. I think right now a lot of people are still very reactive as well, and especially with social media, it's really hard to have constructive conversations and for people to just ask questions because, like you said, you're like, I'm not really going to have the right terminology and things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Like, I'm learning things every day, even as a Black woman. And I think it's really important to still hold that space for each other so we can have the conversations and so people can learn and understand each other, know where everyone stands, and hopefully move forward together. Yeah.
Well, let's also like talk about it's like 'cause it's also very different, you know, when someone like it's when someone posts something and says this is what I want to change. You took that extra measure. You hosted rallies, right? You know, you did one out in Drumheller, and my dad, you know, saying, "Hey, man, you know, when Ashton got up on that mic and said that stuff, it's like, you know, it's." That alone, you know how much of a ripple effect that will have throughout the community. Like you're taking a real fucking stand.
Yeah, and it's scary. I think people don't realize too how sketchy it is out there. And you know, the only reason I took it out to rural Alberta is because I'm from rural Alberta. And you know, when I got to that first town, I was, you know, for the first Black person a lot of them had seen in real life, and I was treated very differently, and not necessarily because people are trying to be racist. It's just that's how we've grown up, especially in these areas, and there's been nobody there or anything else to challenge that. And so you just, I mean, I eventually just ended up leaving. There's a lot of people who have stayed there for a long time, and you know, nothing still changes. But so it was really important for me to bring those conversations out. I like to call Alberta Little America because it is that crazy out there. You know, people wear Trump t-shirts and have the Confederate flag hanging from their truck, and you know, we've been spit on and we've been tried to run over, and people coming to counter protest, and you know, I've been told that if I keep it up, I'm going to be found hanging in a tree. Jesus. And like these things are very real out there.
Yeah.
So, and as scary as it is, it's like, it's necessary and it's needed, to have these conversations. And it's been really, outside of all of that shit, it's been really positive. And we have been able to speak with some people who didn't necessarily understand or support what was happening. Because there's this huge divide in, you know, BLM, the organization, against just Black Lives Mattering, you know, and our lived experience for the last hundreds of years. And, you know, basically, especially, and Indigenous people in Canada as well. So what our countries have been built on, and how the economy continues to go off the backs of Black and Indigenous people. There's a lot of areas within it all.
Well, that's also kind of like the weird thing, because like you said, everyone's having that conversation, but it's almost now where when maybe people would, you know, not be very public about their opinion against it, are all of a sudden standing their fucking ground, sending messages. It's weird how it's like the general public is taking note, like, hey, everyone, like, we shouldn't have to be saying this, but, you know, be nicer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you have those people who had never said anything are now just like stepping up and just saying horrific shit all of a sudden, right? You know, it's
you know, I'm lucky in a way, you know, I don't have close family. I'm not close with my family, so I haven't had to have the hard conversations with family, even though I have in the past when I was younger. My mom has had to as well. A lot of racist family out there, but I don't have to deal with that right now. It's just a lot of friends, you know, there's people that I've considered family, and things just suddenly coming out, and it's like, fuck, I've literally had dinner at your table, and this is what you're saying right now. And so, and I mean too, it's, you know, it's been about 4 months since George Floyd's death, and it's still taking people a while to even want to speak out or say anything. I think people are scared of what to say or how to say. And then when you say something, I'll see it on Facebook or something where someone's just saying something for the first time in public. And then, you know, you get all the people out there that are just hiding in your friends lists who are closet racists. And it's a lot to take on, especially if this is all new to you and you don't have the answers and people are coming at you. And so a lot of times I just see people just deleting that post altogether instead of dealing with it. And I think it's really important, just if you need to call somebody in to, you know, bring the information, that's fine. But eventually you're probably just going to have to let go of some people. It's going to happen, you know?
Closet racist. That's a great term.
Just it's a thing.
Because like you said, everything's new. Like, I don't want to obviously explain the situation, but that one we had on Facebook there, right? That's where you tagged me and said, hey, Damon, just noticed your mutual friends. He's been sending his message. Crazy. Like, that was just new for the closet racist in my life, right? Even though it's not like I haven't talked to a guy in years or anything, but it's crazy to think it's like really, like, I went to high school with you and you're that much of a piece of shit, man. Like, not to put it so fucking
Yeah.
bluntly, but that's how I
Yes.
feel, right? It's like,
Yeah.
really, like,
And I tag people in, and it's never to be like, this is your friend. So
No,
that's
I
who you're
know.
like, because I feel a lot of people are like that. I mean,
Mhm.
if I'm friends with somebody that's saying shit like that, I'm going to be called in. And so I
Yeah.
can either say something or I can get rid of this person,
Mhm.
But yeah, and it's sad because especially people our age, for the most part, it's not that they understand and they're actually racist. This is just, it's learned behavior, things that they've been taught, over time from their parents, their grandparents,
Mhm.
and stuff that's been so ingrained in our lives and our brains for so long that
Mhm.
um, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of talking, a lot of emotional labor. I'm fucking exhausted.
Well, that's like, sorry to keep going on to it,
It's
right? But
okay.
it's that's also the crazy thing is, for me personally, it made me realize actually how short, like, an actual time. Like, for example, watch this TV show that came out a couple of weeks ago, and they did like a time travel where they went back to the like Kennedy era.
Okay.
Literally, it was like they're all in the Kennedy era, and it was crazy to think, like, that was what, 60, 70, 60 years ago, and there would be restaurants that's whites only and stuff like that. If
Yeah.
you really think about, like, it's brutal how that isn't that long ago.
It's not,
right? Like,
and it's the thing with residential schools too. People are just learning now that the last one closed in '96.
Mhm.
I was 6 years old in '96, and I'm. It's sad because residential schools. I only just learned about it in the last year, and I'm
Mhm.
30 now. And so it can be really hard to take in all of this information when you've gone 30 years without hearing of it at all, and we have is this image of black people being criminals and indigenous people being drunks.
Mhm.
Like, it's really hard to take on all of this new information and think like, holy fuck, yeah, our country kind of sucks. Like, we have some shit to own up to right now and
Yeah.
fix. So yeah, and it's these things have not happened that long ago at all, and we're
Yeah.
still, I mean, I'm working with the fuck, what is their name? The Black Calgary Law Students Association.
Mhm.
And even in our institutions, that there's 400 law students in Calgary, and only 6 of them are black, and that's due to a lot of the admissions and how people are treated. Black students are treated in school. So,
Mhm.
I mean, even in the year 2020, we're still battling with a lot of different segregation ways.
Mhm.
So it's wild. Yeah.
One like, maybe group organization I have to give a lot of credit to that's been the best for being public about is the NBA. Like, honestly, all their
Yeah.
jerseys still all say justice, speak up, and everything. And
Yes.
when they did that protest, like the boycott that game, it was just, that's a crazy sport, especially, for me. Like, I was looking forward to that game, and I kind of knew it was crazy, but if you actually, like, read an interview, the Bucks weren't planning that the day before. It was literally minutes before they were walking out. A teammate spoke up, said, "Listen up." Like,
the thing is too, and it's again having that empathy and understanding of one another, because as a black person and all of this going, like, when I wake up in the morning and I have to watch a black person literally being shot on the streets on video, and then knowing the police aren't getting fired, they're not getting any repercussions from their actions whatsoever. It's really hard for us to be able to just go to work like things are normal, or go play basketball, or go have a drink with our friends. Like, it affects us in a much different way, because when we see that, we see us, we see our dads, our brothers, our uncles, our friends, and so it's easy for me to understand that. I'm surprised it didn't happen earlier. I think that was just, especially after the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing too, where a day apart, you see a man get shot 7 times in the back when he's going into his vehicle because they thought he had a weapon, whereas this white kid was literally running in the street and he killed 2 people, and then went up to a police vehicle with a rifle in his hand, and then he drove home to the next state and went to bed in his own bed, and then the next day they arrested him, and now they're pushing back his court date for a month. It's like, no, right? You can literally see it, right? Like, we've seen it all this time, but for you, it's painted right there. You can see it. So it's like, enough is enough. We have to take a stand. And I think what was really huge, and that was when the NHL decided to step down as well from their games, because I mean, hockey is predominantly white, and I mean, when you go and look through their social media pages, you can see how pissed off people are. I mean, NBA, you can go through their pages and you're going to see some assholes in there, but for the most part, that's a lot of black people like, yeah, that's right, good. And here, you know, it's just, you know, the same rhetoric of BLM's a terrorist organization. Why are we feeding into this propaganda? Like, it's the same shit over and over. And I swear they just read from the same fucking book. And so it's nice to see people like that taking a stance. Personally, I still can't like put any celebrities or anyone up on a pedestal in any way, because it's like, fuck, y'all still got millions of dollars and we still got people living on the street. So you ain't doing shit. Yeah. You know, but good for them to make awareness. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. You know, has there been any individuals you'd have to give like complete, you know, shout outs or anything, like fucking love what you're doing?
Oh my God. Shout outs, eh? Well, if everybody that I'm working with, I mean, I work with, since doing this, there's a few other organizations out in rural Alberta. So we have Black Falls Against Racism, who are also Black and Indigenous Alliance Alberta. So shout out to those people. Everybody go follow them. And then we have Red Deer Against Racism. I'm going to forget people too. I'll have to look them all up. And then of course BLM here in Calgary, the BLM chapter, and we have Defund YYC. And a fight against equity in Edmonton. So there's a lot of people out here doing a lot of things, and we're all starting to really come together and work together, especially when it comes to defunding the police, and trying to create a narrative around that that's easy for people to understand, because I think the idea of that is very blurred and very all over the place, and not everybody knows exactly what they want. And so when you ask, you know, what does defund the police mean? I think you get a lot of different answers coming up. So there are a good 20 organizations involved in the letter that we just sent to city council here. I think that was yesterday. Because what's today? Is today Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Okay, so it was sent out yesterday. But yesterday was a holiday. But it got sent out, and a lot of us are starting to come together, work together to make those changes happen. Because, you know, even the last 4 months, a lot of us have just been kind of like spread out doing our own things. So, I think that's the ones for now. I'm gonna feel bad when I watch this, be like, fuck, I forgot all of these people. There's a lot of people out here though, so shout out to everybody just doing the work and using their voice, because we need it. This is not going away anywhere, unfortunately, and I think the more time we take in working together, the closer we are to having a full-on civil war, because that's exactly where we're at. Sadly, you can see what's happening in the States, and it's not going to take very long for that to spread out. So,
well, that was also one thing where it was like everyone was so content on this quarantine, and then I loved how they finally were just like, no, like this is so big. Fuck absolute every single rule we've been given right now. This is what we're doing. Yeah. That's huge.
It's important to know too, like when you see people going out for their unmasked rallies, or when you go, you know, especially when masks weren't a thing, when you would go out, you'd go to Walmart, you'd go to the bank, you'd go to all these places, not wear masks, maybe use hand sanitizer. But at protests, throughout all of them, it's very important that people are wearing their masks. They're using hand sanitizers. You're still keeping your distance. You know, when you see pictures and stuff, unless it's like a packed protest, even then people are still wearing their masks. Everyone is in their little groups, you know, so we're still being very respectful. That's why you didn't see any spikes of COVID through all the protests, but you would see a spike from a fucking house party or from the bar, you know, so I think it's just taking those precautions as well.
And I've seen that on all the posters. One you did on drum. Hey, we're giving out fucking masks.
Oh, yes.
Like, absolute zero excuse for you to not come out, right? For safety reasons.
Yeah. And that's why I like to find a really big space, too, so that people can, if you want to come and you're still scared, you can stand way the fuck back there by yourself and you can still hear us. So it's making it available to anyone to come out and hear.
And that's what I think was because like I'm always just going to use Drumheller just because obviously
Yeah.
I grew up there, right? You know,
Yes.
for Ashton to come out, I really think that put that just kind of set everything real. I think for maybe just like even a lot of my friends and everything.
Yeah,
right?
your
So,
dad too, man. I
yeah.
mean, it's we don't talk about a lot of the situations that happen in our lives. Like when I was first called a nigger, I was 11 years old,
Mhm.
and that it happened so many times after that. But these aren't things we usually talk about, and if we do, it's not taken too seriously. Like, oh, it's just a joke. Oh, they didn't really mean it that way, you know. So when you hear stories like this from a kid that that have happened recently, you know, and people had no idea this was going, like your dad had no idea that had happened.
Zero.
And so I think, yeah, it does hit close to home, especially when it's from a kid.
Mhm.
And we had some really good speakers that day because we had the doctors in town come out and who had racial slurs written on their bathroom in the hospital there. So it was nice for them to come out and speak and just have a different view from all different walks of life.
Crazy to think like you're fucking doctor, guys. Like the guy that keeps you healthy, saves your fucking life,
right?
Your doctor.
Your
is
doctor.
that shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's brutal.
But we're still going to sit here and call them immigrants and that they're taking our jobs, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah. Thanks for saving my life, by the way. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You break your leg. Where are you going next, Jimmy? Where are you going?
Yeah. Well, seriously, I just don't want to keep like I wanted to talk about this because it's really the most important thing, right? I also just want to take this advantage and ask because you know we got a professional podcast out here.
Yes,
right. Like you're tight with Afro Man.
Like, I wouldn't say tight. No, we're pretty tight. You know,
yeah, we're best friends.
We hung out a few times, and you'll like check in on me. And, yeah, I had met him a few times before we did our interview, and when we had done our interview, because I forget his fucking name now. One of the guys from 2 Live Crew, I'd met him when I was covering Juggalo Weekend.
Well, that's cool.
That was really cool. And so he was coming into town because he was Afroman's DJ, and they were on tour with Snoop Dogg. So he was like, oh, yeah, we'll get you in and everything. I'm like, okay, I want an interview with Snoop Dogg. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, no, we're coming in. We're getting you an interview, blah, blah, blah. So we get there. And just it was like, no, this is not happening. I was so sad. And the thing is, too, sometimes, especially being a woman in this industry and doing stuff, is that I feel like they probably get a lot of things just so girls can meet people or get backstage. And I'm not one of those girls. I will sit outside in the rain. I don't need to do this. Yeah. So, but you know, when I got there, I was like, I'm not leaving without an interview. So I was like, Afro Man, we're doing this. And we did it. And he was high and drunk as fuck. I had to cut so much out from that interview. And, but it still turned out okay. So, but yeah, we still chat, we still talk, and he's just out there living his best life.
So, like, because I see you once a year, usually at Loud Cell there. Yeah. And I see you do about, 20 to 30 interviews out there. I actually let you win your first game.
Oh, no.
Kicked my ass.
I won. Yeah.
Like, so it's, how we're already in the ballpark. Like, how did it all start? Let's go to the beginning.
Okay.
Let's go to the beginning.
So it was like 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. And that's recent.
Yeah, it's pretty recent, yes. Yeah. I got an opportunity with my friend's company. It was called Canada Rocks Live. And so a friend of ours had this art gallery. It was like at the end of Forest Lawn. So, I mean, right there, an art gallery in Forest Lawn probably isn't going to do that right, that good. She's like, listen, I need help getting people in here somehow. She had this beautiful warehouse space in the back that was not being used. So we came in, we built a stage, we built a second level. And the idea was to bring in larger Canadian artists and then have local artists play with them to kind of get them seen. And they wanted me to be their on-air personality with that. So like our first show there, we brought in Biff Naked.
Holy fucking cool.
It was, the capacity was like 150 in there. So it was very intimate. And like the stage is just like a little stage. You're like right there with Biff Naked. And we had Blackbird Electric play with them and a couple others. It was so long ago, but it was really good. And unfortunately that whole thing did not work out, a lot of internal bullshit going on. And I really enjoyed doing the interviews, and I was making a lot of contacts, and everything was rolling. So I just kept going with it. And then I guess it was like a year after that, I started being invited out to festivals. So, when I'm at Loud as Hell is usually my 7th or 8th festival of the summer. So it's like 3 to 4 months of weekends back to back at festivals. But it's like, I get home on a Wednesday, I have one day home, and I'm back on the road. After Loud as Hell is always Shambhala.
Oh,
so it's
my
like,
God.
Hi.
Hi.
We got visitors.
Yeah. Sorry. How are you? Good, you? Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Thank you. He could not read the room.
Oh, first time it's ever happened.
That's okay.
That's okay. Mine. All right. First time for everything.
First time for everything. That's okay. He's just out there. He's making a living.
So Wednesday, one day off.
So yeah, well, Loud as Hell. What, I get home Tuesday? No, I get home Monday, and then I get the Tuesday off, and then Wednesday I'm on the road to Shambhala, and then I'm there for a week, and then after that, like it's back to back. So even by the time I get to Loud as Hell, I'm already ragged, like just done.
Yeah.
Just done. But also, because I work all of the festivals doing the interviews, that I can't party the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I usually for the most part get some good sleep,
mm-hmm.
and I eat food. And so we're good. So that's kind of been my summers for the last 4 years, is just traveling in the summer across Canada to different festivals, and everything from rap to EDM to metal, all over the place. So it's pretty neat.
Well, I was going to ask, like, what approaches do you take going from Shambhala to Loud as Hell, like in the interviews?
I don't know, not a whole lot. I feel like, I feel like it's just a different environment, especially at something like Shambhala. Smaller festivals, it's easier to have more time with that one-on-one stuff. Shambhala, it's very much like always on the go, so I don't necessarily get to sit and play ping pong and beer pong with people and have that, but it's different, and it's in its own way. And I mean, the fact that too, Loud as Hell is a lot of beer drinking. Electronic festivals are a lot of drug taking. So it's a very different mood in the room. But it's not necessarily a different approach. I think my approach and all the things are kind of the same. But Loud as Hell, I have been making them a bit more fun there, just because I have that time to do so.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, right? You make them play instruments and everything,
yes.
Right? It's how did that come about? Like, how many were you doing for music festivals, and you're like, you know what, this is what the fuck I need, right?
Well, it was Jimmy Kimmel, I think, where he has the Roots, and then he had like Metallica come in there, and they were playing Metallica song, and then they're all playing like these kids instruments. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm doing that, and I'm like, Loud as Hell is going to be the one for me to do that, and it worked so well. I mean, the sad part is too, the last 5 years I've been doing it all myself, like you are. Like, I do the filming, I do the editing, I do the interviewing, I get the questions ready if I need to. So, and I haven't gone to school for any of this, so it's teaching myself along the way and getting my hands on whatever equipment I can. Now, I've been able to collect some really good stuff, but it's still learning how to use everything. So, I mean, there's been times where I would go a whole day doing incredible interviews, and then my audio didn't work out, or the wind was just not right that day. And so now everything's just gone. So it's been a long journey of figuring that all out, and very frustrating, because I still have footage I will never get rid of on my computer, thinking like, I'm going to fix this one day because it's so good, but it'll probably never go out.
Seriously, like, not to be excited about your sorrows, but just as a podcaster, it's like, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, you're not.
It's like, sometimes I'm just like, Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to hear this as well, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. You're not alone. I think it was Moments Fest. I went to my first one a couple years ago, and the interviews were so good. And I brought somebody actually to help with filming and doing sound, but we forgot the fucking sock for the H4n, and like the wind was just so bad. So it's like you hear one word, it's like like fuck, I cannot save this. So yeah.
Well, that's why, like, to bring it back to when we opened the podcast, you said when you were doing the things with Amanda and, with quarantine, you're taking all the right measures. I got to really tell people that's what you take when you take this serious, right? Sure. You know how easy it is to do a Zoom and, hit record and just have it go, right? But, you just, when you hit that level, you don't want to release that type of content at that same sense.
You wanted it to be live. So I think the huge problem with what we were having, I wish I could remember the fucking software that I used for that. I'm sure whoever watches this, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about if they do this.
Zoom or StreamYard.
So you can Zoom, we could, but because we have the music videos and I didn't want, and it's getting the audio right, so it's not just music playing in the back. Or how did I do that? I forget how I did. There was I couldn't do Zoom. Or it's just pulling, you have to pull audio and visual separately. And then you don't it depends what kind of equipment they have on their end, and then making that match. And we couldn't hear her properly. And it was just so, there's so many little things. It's not just like, oh yeah, press record. And then, we could record and then release after, but even that, it was just, there's so many things. I pulled my hair out for weeks trying to figure that out. And it wasn't too bad when we did it, and I wish we could get back on that, but I don't have the time for it. I am going to be filming season 2 of Bubble Bath Buffet before winter. That's one thing I do want to do, because I have a bunch of sponsors behind that as well, so I need to get that out. But other than that, that's the only project I'll be doing personally. So
how did that come with? Just because, don't get me wrong, you and Amanda, I'm assuming girls probably not that big, but it's like, Amanda, lead singer of Into Eternity there, right? You hooked that one up, eh? That's good.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Amanda's a good homie of mine, so I was just like, and her and I have always just got along really well, so I think it was just, that was just the co-host I needed for that, so, yeah, I don't know what I would love to keep doing that. If I could easily maybe I'll talk to Nate. If I could easily figure out how to just have everything go smoothly, the other great thing about doing live is that there's no editing. It's all done. So then when you are done the episode, that's it. That's a good thing. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, that's got to be neat getting into that little bit of a Twitch area, right? I'm finding that to be very more popular with actually live podcasts and more, right?
It's good, and it's good for copyright stuff too, right? So you can have music playing on the background and it's not going to cut you off for copyright issues, whereas Facebook will do it right away. So if you had an hour show and then there's just 30 seconds of something, your whole thing is just garbage now. So Twitch is really good for that. I'm still figuring it out. I haven't used it a whole ton. I think I just used it for that. And then the other shows on the network are just things that are put out on all podcast channels, different areas where you can listen, and YouTube as well.
So as a podcaster to podcaster, in the beginning, what's just I've had some super awkward moments on here. I've had someone where I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, is this really fucking happening?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've just one. I make it sound like a bunch. I've actually only had one, but I want to hear someone else's.
Man. I don't even know. I feel like a lot of the times it's awkward situations, just especially in electronic settings. Again, not a lot of beer drinking, a lot of drug using. So there could be times when I'm interviewing somebody who's on an acid trip. It's just this is where we're at right now, and that's fine. It's just, I've seen some weird shit. And but I've also kind of just held the stage for it to be in that weird space anyway. You know, my inspiration comes from like old Much Music VJs where things were just uncensored and just you go with the flow and whatever happens right now happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people have felt comfortable with me doing things like that. And 90% of the time after we're done, I get a message or we talk and they're like, okay, you got to cut out like all of this. And it's like, I know it's fine. It's good. That's why I don't do live interviews either. It's because I know shit's going to get weird and I'm going to have to cut stuff out. So yeah, I can't pinpoint any one specific. I mean, I've had somebody standing there with his balls out and you know and it's just normal at that point. Like, this is where we're at. Okay. Like, yeah, or when people hit on me when I'm trying to talk to I think that's awkward for me.
That would be awkward.
Because you got to be like kind of professional, but also like I'm not going to take this shit. So putting them in their place professionally.
Yeah.
That's probably the most awkward. Anything else is just like
I'm glad I haven't had that, probably. Like, that's not too bad.
That would be weird at this table. Yeah.
Mine was, you know what an ice is? Like if you ice someone?
I kind of do. I know there's ice the drink, and then somebody has to drink it.
Yeah, that's all I know like about a Smirnoff Ice, and you know, so if I like, you know, hey, can you open that? And you like open it and just Smirnoff Ice, like,
you have to,
you got to drink it, right? So I used to ice my guests. Thought it was fucking hilarious, and it was actually absolutely hilarious. And then I get this one guest on. He's a little older, and I'm just like, I'm judging the room. He's drinking tea. It's like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh shit!
And we
fucked this whole day.
So the way we do it is we did a "What's in the Box." You know the movie Seven? Yeah, at the very end, what's in the box, right? And I bring up a paper bag and say, "What's in the box?" Right? You know, it's just hilarious stuff. My demographic is like 17 to 26 as well, remember?
All right.
So it's very meme and ice thing, right?
Yes.
So, you know, at the very end, I'm like looking at my audio guy. I'm like, should I do it? Oh yeah, like, you don't get anywhere awkward.
Yes,
he's just sitting there. He's like, what do you mean? And I'm just like, you know the meme? You ever seen the movie? Like, what's in the box? He's like, nope. I'm like, oh, we're already off to a bad start. I'm like, well, here's a present for you. And then he was just like, open it. He's like, what do I do with this? And I'm like, you got to get on one knee and drink it. He's like, not a fucking chance. I don't even like Smirnoff. And I was like, first time I've ever had to cut anything out of a podcast.
Yeah. Because what do you do, right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
can force it.
No, yeah, like, right. I was like, oh, it's no big deal, man. You know, inside I'm dying. Like, absolutely fucking dying. I'm like, it's it, boys. It's over. I got to pack up the podcast. You know, no more after this. It's officially done.
Yeah.
Right. But also at the same time, what are some of the coolest moments you've had? Like you said, the Afro Man thing. You've also done what's his face?
And the sock.
Yes,
that
right?
was an awkward moment because especially when I'm interviewing somebody, I like looking at their eyes, right? When you talk to somebody, you look into their eyes, see their facial expressions. And so, you know, I'm sitting here and there's like a sock and then there's a man down here. And
wait,
so
there's a man? No way.
There's a man.
You're lying.
And like, so I'm like talking to him. And then, you know, I'm looking at him and then I'm like, oh, no, I need to look at this sock. And of course, it's just dead eyes. So it's like, that was awkward for me, but it was really good. I ended up getting to host that show tour or that show that night as well, which was a part of his tour. So that was fun. That was interesting, especially being, you know, an old school Much Music fan for so long and like that happening. I was like, yes. So yeah, that was a really cool highlight. What's some other cool moments? I don't even, you know, it's been so long. I was very close to getting an interview with Kevin Hart once. Ooh. That was another moment though, where it's like his bodyguard who has been with him for like 15 years, who has a family, a wife and kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't even know how that all came to be. And, I ended up going and it was more that he wanted, you know, somebody to sleep with. And I was like, I am good. Like Kevin Hart's not worth it. No. I'm all right. Thanks. You know, a lot of weird moments. I don't know what would be more highlights. I think just more getting to do the traveling, to different events and festivals throughout Canada and seeing how everybody does stuff. I mean, I'm done with festivals already because it ends up being just the same people, the same people who are playing and the same people who are going. I could be out in fucking Montreal and then, you know, out in BC and it's the same fucking people. And I'm like, I just saw you last weekend. Like, I could be in bed right now. So I think I'm good on all of that. And I'm just going to, you know, I'm not going to hang up the towel. I still want to do interviews, but I'm definitely just making that keeping it as a network and just giving it to other voices for now to keep that going, which has been good. We're starting to get more shows on there, and the plan is to just have Monday to Sunday just jam-packed of stuff constantly running. And then hopefully be broadcasting on real TV and stuff too in the next year or two. So
well, that's what I was going to ask, is with everything, how, you know, podcast seems to be like, it's for some ways, it seems like it was YouTube dominant for a long time, right? And now we're seeing the switch over to, you know, Apple Music and Spotify. As someone who's been in the industry for a couple of years, you know, how do you feel about all this?
You know, I've definitely not done anything properly or the way I should be. It's been 5 years and I'm just starting to finally focus on YouTube. It's just, it's a whole other beast there. I'm like, nah, I'm just not gonna do that. I just post everything directly to Facebook. But I'm not doing that anymore. Everything's going through YouTube first. And then when, you know, everything streams through SoundCloud, and then with your feed, it just goes out to all the other things. They make it so easy now to do that. And using Instagram a lot. Like, I think for me, something that I have always been really strong at is promotion. So I still use Facebook and Instagram a lot for just the promotion, to use it as the funnel to get everybody to go wherever the fuck they need to go. But I've just always tried to have it on like all of the things all of the time. So then I don't, oh, we're doing this now? Cool. My shit's already there. Oh, okay, we're doing this? Cool. I'm already there. Like, so. Yeah.
Well, that's the one nice thing I noticed is, like you said, you guys work with local artists there, right? And I've seen, like, even though it's a little bit, you've guys been able to get them a little bit of money just from them on the radio and everything on that. There's like a one certain thing I've been seeing. I think it's like, I swear.
Oh, are you talking about SDF? Social Distance Fest?
Yes.
Yeah, that is something else. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah, when COVID started, I came across Socially Distant Fest, and I think there was, I don't know, 50,000 people on there, maybe. I think maybe even 20,000. And they were looking for moderators to come and help. So I was like, well, fuck, I'm at home. This keeps me involved with music. And I would always see the posts coming up, and it's literally musicians from around the world coming on there and just playing live from their living rooms and
fucking
stuff.
Cool.
And it's so neat. And the people that I have discovered and found, and the relationships that I built, like friendships I built through there, is incredible. So now I think it's at 180,000 people, and there's still only, this is my first week I haven't modded with everything going on. I'm like, guys, I cannot do it, because I was still doing that 5 days a week as well. So we each have 3-hour shifts to do that. And then I was doing interviews with them, but I did that smart. I did a ton of interviews in a small amount of time, in about over a month's period of time. So then there was like 4 months of content to put out there. And so, which was also interesting to figure out. I was doing my Zoom here, and then I would have the interview on Zoom with whoever else, and then because my computer was so shitty at the time, another member who's in Georgia, he would film from his end, and then I would edit everything. Like, it was a fucking shit show, but we did it, and it looked good. But yeah, they do Sunday showcases, and people are getting noticed and picked up, and because you can be watching somebody in a totally different country, and you find someone, and it's like, okay, I want to book you now, or now you're following them, and you can get tips when you play. So some of the people are getting hundreds of dollars when they're playing on there. So it's really neat. Yeah, that was a cool thing to be a part of.
What do you use to edit?
I use Premiere Pro now.
Yep.
But that was only like the last 3 months I started that. I was still using the NCH software that I started using 5 years ago, which is the shittiest software that you can use. It was like the first thing I found. So yeah, Premiere Pro now. I've grown up. I've stepped up.
Yeah, Premiere Pro is amazing.
Yeah.
Like absolutely. The learning curve though is coffees and YouTube videos for hours.
Yes. I still am watching YouTube videos on shit.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's so basic. Like, fuck, I should have known that.
Yeah.
That's the learning process, I guess.
No, Premiere Pro is absolutely, it's cut my time probably like 1/3 of it all, right? So once you get like a month into that, you'll be like, or like a month more, sorry, like it'll be
good.
Yeah. It'll be nothing.
Yeah. I think for me too, I just had really shitty computers, and some of the content that I have come in, you know, there's one show I edit and it's very minimal editing, but I think it's the format they're in or something. It literally takes 48 hours for it to render and download, and it's just like, that's what kills me. So it's upgrading all of that equipment as well. I have since upgraded my computer, but everything's on the old computer and I just don't want to switch over. It's a mess. This takes a lot of work. So like, good for you. This shit is not easy. If anybody thinks it is, they are wrong. Yeah.
It really sucked at first just because didn't know much at all. So like, I swear, the Brian Newberry podcast I probably listened to, like, I love you, Brian, but after hearing your voice for 30 fucking hours, man, I hope I never talk to you again.
Sorry, Brian. Yeah.
So that's why, like, when you're saying all this stuff at the beginning, I was like, this is normal. This is normal, guys.
I'm validated.
I'm normal. Like,
yeah,
this is okay, right? Which is also one thing I noticed was you do a lot of, before any of that, actually.
Okay. Back it up.
Your podcast's been nominated.
It did not win, you know, and I think there's some like back things happening with that, with some other stuff that was going on. I'm okay with that. It was nominated for Best of Calgary.
Yes.
Which was super exciting. Because again, when you're doing all of this on your own, you put so much work into stuff, sometimes feel like, why are you doing this? Why am I busting my ass for this? So when things like that happen, just to have that little bit of validation, like, you know, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
You know, it was nice. So, yeah.
Well, that was 2019 or 20?
That was this year.
This year, yeah.
And then they pushed calling the winners off because this was like COVID, everything happened. They're like, we're going to focus on just promoting other businesses to help bring money to whoever's still going to try and move their way around. And then some shit was happening behind the scenes, and I think maybe that could have because I feel like there was a lot of people voting, and I feel like I probably should have won that. But either way, I'm still super grateful that was a thing, and I can say that has happened, and we'll see what happens from here now.
Well, I've kind of always like, I don't know like what the right word is for it, but I've kind of always looked at you as that as like, oh, this happened, like this is where I kind of want to be honest. You've kind of always been like that. So like literally when I seen you got nominated there, that's literally my goal now is to get fucking nominated. Oh my God, do it. Like, so that's just my goal. Like when I seen you got nominated, I'm like, that's where I want to fucking be, right? So because like it's not like there's a lot of actually like you're known as that interviewer, podcaster, content creator, right? You know, it's you get a couple of guys from a band that are like, yeah, we host podcasts on the side, right? You know, like when I see you do that, I'm like, that's where I want to be. So anytime I see you do anything, whether it's like looking for an intro song, everyone send me intro stuff. I always just take notes on all that. I'm always like, she's doing this, I should be doing something like this, or even just, you know,
just do better than me though.
Yeah, it's like like friendly competition. I don't look at you as competition at all, right? Which is
good.
But it's kind of nice just to be like, well, she's doing this, I should be doing this, and try to maybe do this, right? If that makes sense.
Absolutely, because I do that still all the time with people, and I think it's really important. Like you said, it's not competition; it's working together and seeing what works. So, okay, I didn't win this. Okay, so let's figure out, you know, if it wasn't stuff going on behind the scenes, why didn't it? And what did the winners have? So it's constantly seeing how you can shift and change and do better and be better. Like I think that's fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been about supporting other locals. I've never seen people as competition, and I think you live a much happier life that way. You get much further that way when you just learn to work together and share ideas. And like, if there's any way I can ever help you in any way, I would love that. If you go and you get nominated for that, fuck yeah, I'm gonna pump that everywhere. Like, I think that's so great. Yeah,
I'll give you a massive shout out on my acceptance speech.
I'd like to thank Jesus and Taylor McNallie.
Yeah. Good night. Oh, that's too funny. So really, like, I know you said you want to do that thing with Amanda a little bit more, but what do you have going on like next? Like, what's,
like I said, I want to do. So before COVID, we were supposed to film season 2 of Bubble Bath Buffet. And so for those who don't know, I'm not sure how you wouldn't know, Bubble Bath Buffet is basically me in the tub, and I am eating food from different local restaurants and drinking from a local brewery. And I have a new guest in the tub with me on every episode. So so the first season we had done, I had put it all together in a very short amount of time. I think it was like 2 weeks, and we filmed it all in one day.
Wow.
And somebody's tub, I didn't even know this person. I was like, I need a tub. They're like, I have a tub. I was like, cool. So use their tub, and I was drunk in the tub all day eating food. Like, if you put the episodes in order and back to back, you can just see me progressively get more shit-faced. So I had to like stagger them so you wouldn't notice.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So this one I planned out really well. It was going to be so amazing, and I found a really nice setting, and then it was like, okay, COVID lockdown, and where we were going to film, he was an older gentleman, he has asthma, we were going to have people coming in and out all weekend. It's like, should we really share a tub? The shit's spreading. So we shut it down, and then now it's been like, how long have we been in COVID for? Like 5 months? 6 months?
6 months? Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I need to do this. So I'm like, I'm just going to get tubs and film in my backyard. So I got a big backdrop. I found like clawfoot tubs are like fucking $1,200. I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
So I found one on Kijiji for $250. It's brand new, stickers on it, everything. And I've just been like waiting for another one to come around. I don't know if it's coming or not. So I'm either, because I figured if I have 2 tubs, we can still be socially distancing. We can do our thing. We're filming outside. So we don't need to be breathing on each other. At this point, I might just film in 1 tub in my backyard just to get it done.
Yeah.
Because I really want to get it out before winter. You know, everyone's cozy and you have no choice but you're inside and you're going to watch my show. So we'll see. I would really like to do that. And other than that, it is literally focusing on my kid and focusing on rural Alberta against racism. That's it.
How many submissions did you get for doing that intro song for the Cozy Bath? Because that's the one you're asking for the intro music for,
yeah,
right?
I did one for Taylor Made Radio.
Yes, yeah.
And then I did one for Bubble Bath Buffet. And I think I got somewhere around 24 of them.
Wow.
And, you know, for the most part, they were really good. Of course, you get a couple. I'm not even going to say names, nothing. You get a couple, and like every time a new one would come in, I tell my partner, it's like, okay, we got a new one. We got to listen. And you just sit there like what is this?
Yeah.
Thanks so much. It was very interesting. It had some very interesting songs come through, even for Taylor Made Radio. But yeah, but we picked an awesome one, and then we filmed a brand new intro inside of Cold Garden Brewery, and we put a tub in there, and we filled it with water, and we just filmed the intro in there. It was really good. So yeah, we need to use this stuff. I'm just sitting on all of these ideas and content that needs to get out there.
Yeah, I understand that. Like I have I think it's 7 foot tall, 12 foot wide green screen.
Oh my God.
Oh, trust me, the next viral video I see that I fucking know I can just make that much funnier. Holy shit. I'm just waiting now. Like I'm just sitting on it. There's been a couple things I'm like, this could be really funny, but I'm just waiting on that viral video. Like something hilarious cell phone or something like that where I know I can just put myself in there and just make it.
This is me now.
Yes. Anything, right? One thing I kind of want to congratulate on is just that's kind of everyone's goal when they get into social media marketing or promotion is to always hit that self-employed thing, right? So obviously, you know how so you've been self-employed for 5 years doing this
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
And with a combination of things too, right?
Yeah.
You know, my main income comes from doing branding and marketing. So I make websites and I do social media work and EPKs and just try to get people confident enough to do business for themselves and show them how to do it successfully. I definitely didn't get into it the proper. I don't know if there's a proper way to get into business. You either, you know, have a full-time job and you wait until you have enough work so you can let go of the full-time job. The thing that happens though is that a lot of people never take that jump. So if you always have something to fall back on with your full-time job, there's always money there. You're never going to push yourself far enough in that side project where it's like, okay, this is sustainable. Or you just jump and you do it. And which is what I did. You know, 1 month I made enough money on my own to pay my bills. I was like, fuck this job. I don't need this no more. And that was a terrible idea. But, you know, I've made it work over time. And yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, no.
It's hard. But I will never work for somebody else again. Like that will never be a thing. Yeah.
Well, that's also probably has got to be such a benefit when you're managing anyone else's or something, right? Because you're just like, I never want to work with someone, so I'm going to make sure I'm probably like super fucking easy to work with you on this, right?
Yeah.
I assume, right?
Well, I try to be.
Yeah.
And it's good, you know, it comes from a place where it's like I've done the work. It's possible, and being able to encourage people to do that. And because I think a lot of it too is confidence. You know, people think, well, I'm not good enough to do this, or something happens and they're like, of course I'm going to fail. I knew I was going to fail. It's like that negative self-talk too. So I think it's trying to build confidence in other people to be like, no, man, you can fucking do this. Like we are in this age, our generation is just the age of entrepreneurs and doing shit for ourselves. And I think that is really great. And moving away from paying the man and that 1%, fuck those people. Yeah. I'm gonna make my own money. So yeah, it's an interesting road journey.
Well, I agree with the confidence because like I graduated college in business. So like don't get me wrong, I learned how to do accounting and all that stuff. But the biggest thing for me was just the confidence being like, now I can actually like do all aspects, right? You know, that's the thing I took away the most, right? Is it wasn't even like the skills of doing that task. It was just the confidence of knowing I can do any task or regardless if I learned that skill in school or not, right? It was just that confidence. And I think that goes a long way, like you said, especially in this weird absolute era we're in right now. Like, I don't even know what to stamp on it for this era. Like I just don't at this point.
It's weird times, you know, and I was like those other people too at the very beginning of the year, like, fuck, man, this year's gonna suck. Like, what is gonna happen? And then, you know, even with everything going on, that's so crazy. It's just like, this is a really empowering year. Like, we as people, I don't care if you're black, white, whatever you are, we as people are taking so much power back. Because even with the Black Lives Matter movement, what I try to share and explain with people is like, it is not just about Black lives. We're literally breaking apart this entire system that was built to work against all of us. Unless you're that 1%, unless you were sitting on, you know, Epstein's island and flying on his planes, which I know nobody was doing that. You are one of us. The system, the government hates you too. So like, this is our time to take our power back and really make things work on our behalf. We're the ones who are working and creating this economy and making things go and grow. And so, and we're just getting shit on. There's a lot of poor white people too. I'd like to help them.
You know,
you know, so I think there's a lot of us struggling, and this is the year where we can all take our power back and just try to live happy lives, better lives, you know. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shitstorm.
Well, that's also with a thing that I was like, it was, you know, I don't know how to explain like a combination of it, but you know, when the lockdown first came in, it was like, are you happy with yourself, your family, or anything, right? Yeah. And then obviously when that George Floyd happened, it's like maybe just being that time growing as a human, they see that now as like, you know, for example, if I've never been with my family, lockdown comes, I'm with them all the time, I'm like, you know what? I don't like you, right?
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah,
right.
Out. So you just have that self-realization. I kind of think that also maybe played a part because, like you said, it's not like George Floyd was the first, right? What he wasn't at all. So maybe just have that realization. It's like, I may not like my brother, but I obviously don't fucking like this, right? Just maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of realizations for people during this time. Fuck, a lot of people. Excuse me. A lot of people who didn't like themselves are like learning how to like themselves, even, or facing that shit they didn't like about themselves or what's been bothering them since childhood and dealing with that. I think it's been a really healthy period for a lot of people just to sit in silence. You can't drown out your pain by going to a show and getting drunk all night. Now you got to sit at home and just deal with it, know? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm very lucky that I enjoy my kid and I enjoy my boyfriend. There were some times I was like, I want to kill everybody in this house. But it was really good. I think it's brought us all closer together, and I've had to, we're all human. We're going to be growing and working through shit forever. God bless my boyfriend. He deals with a lot of shit. Like, fuck, man. I got a lot of shit to deal with within myself that I'm still going. And I think that's something for me that I haven't got to have that opportunity to just sit in silence either, because, I was already working at home. There was nothing changed. I kept working. And then my kid was home, so there's more work. And then George Floyd happened and everything. So it just keeps piling on. So yeah, I don't know. I need to find a way to silence for a little bit and disconnect somehow too. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But figure it out.
Well, that's one thing I have to thank you for coming on here, just to have this opportunity to, reach out to people through this podcast and have you come on and, really put an absolute important message on here just to get it to, any more people who might have never or whatever. Right. I just have to thank you for that. Just to, just helping me actually use this for the better good. I feel like, right?
Thank you.
It's not someone promoting their album, even though you can do that.
Yes,
I'm not saying that's bad, right? I'm just saying. So I seriously have to thank you for that. And then obviously all the other, I can go to bed and be like, some other podcasts to deal with this too. I'm okay, guys. I can go to sleep.
Yes, you can sleep well tonight.
I don't have to be like, I'm not the only one with 8 hours ahead of me.
No.
Thank you for that.
I appreciate you. There's right now there's not a lot of people I want to see or talk to or be around. It's hard maintaining friendships right now because it can be very awkward trying to have those conversations and people don't know what to say around you or not. It's very different now. Relationships are not the same anymore. But there's some people when you reached out, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do that. This is good. Yeah. So I thank you for providing this platform and doing the work you're doing. And
no, it's just me asking questions.
But you're doing things. So.
Someone was just like, man, you're really good. I'm like, it's easy to sound good when you ask questions. It's all right, man. I don't take any credit. Did you ever get to that point real quick where you were just like to take a little bit of credit? When you're self-employed, you gotta been like, I'm doing something right.
Sometimes, I still have a lot of self-doubt, I feel, and it's still like I could be doing better. I could be doing more. That's why I do a million fucking things. It's hard. I think unless you have a huge fucking ego, I think there's never going to be a point where you're like, yeah, I built this. This is good. I think there's always something. We're our own worst critics, right? So we're always going to be like, oh, fuck, this could have been better. Or, oh, maybe I shouldn't have sat that way. Or I know one thing I had to deal with being a woman and somebody who has grown up with my weight fluctuating all over the place and always being very self-conscious was just being comfortable of how I looked on the camera after. If I had a really good footage, I'd be like, I'm not releasing that. If I had an interview with somebody, no, that can't go out there. Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. If you know what I look like in person, you like that, cool. If you don't, you have to let go of some things and just allow yourself to just make mistakes or just be you. I think that was number one, was allowing myself to make the mistakes.
Yeah, that first, like, because I was kind of like the same. I had a lot of self-doubt. I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna like this. So like I didn't tell anyone about the podcast. Literally not a single person. And
not even your dad?
Not even my dad. So I had like so I used to have like an audio guy, just everything set up now where it's just a lot easier. So I had Brian Newberry on, and I promise you, I haven't told a single soul. And it's fucking like 20 minutes after Brian's left. His episode's not like alive for like 6 or 7 days, right? Fucking, and we always made the joke, is like, yeah, we'll just never hit upload. It'll always be a thing in the past. Fucking 20 minutes after he leaves, I'm getting tagged in this Instagram and Facebook post. And I'm just like, what's that? And he took a picture of the whole thing. And I was like, guess I gotta hit that upload button. Like, that was one of the scariest moments of my life for some reason.
Did it go good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have to credit so much of this just to Brian. He's just such a great dude, and the way he helped, push everything out there. My gratitude is always to absolutely everyone, to be honest.
Yes.
Like, I don't take anything for granted. So everything, props to him. I still get nervous uploading anything, right? I was smoking cigarettes before you showed up because I was like, fuck me, man. What if I say something? Like, I still get fucking nervous, right?
The good thing, though, is that you can edit things, right?
True.
That's why you do pre-record.
Yes.
Like, no, I'm just going to take that. Oh, okay. All right. It's good.
Well, seriously, time to give you the magic red carpet out.
Okay.
This camera. That one's just my camera.
Okay.
And that camera. We're obviously going to link absolutely everything in the description. Everything you're part of. The description is going to be 3 pages long.
I have Linktree links now. We'll make it easier.
Perfect. So, but yeah, seriously, give all your shout outs, everything. The floor is yours.
Oh my God. Okay. So I tried to shout out all of the organizations before. I hope I didn't forget any of them, but I probably did. So I'm sorry. Y'all know who you are. I'm going to make sure I send all the things to you and be like, follow all these people. I'll make a link tree just for that. That's smart. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. And thank you to my partner, JF Morin. I love you. Thank you for putting up with my shit. And thank you for still being here. I think right now he's finishing a roast dinner because, again, I can't get my shit together. So. And yeah, shout out to everyone who's just out there still working and holding it down, doing the thing, and don't give up, guys. I think that's it.
Yeah.
It's still awkward, though. I've done this for 5 years. It's still awkward.
Well, seriously, thank you again, Taylor, because this last hour has just been a blast and super informational at the same time that I won't take for granted. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Validation, validation.